for you. Questions are coming in. What's going to happen in my area with storms? We've got graduation plans, we've got baseball and softball, and unfortunately there will be some impacts from now through early next week, a multi-day severe weather setup. Now, that doesn't mean that it's widespread severe weather every day. There will be pockets of strong to severe thunderstorms in this afternoon. Not long ago, the National Weather Service put out a severe thunderstorm watch for north central and northeast Arkansas. That does not include Little Rock, but does include Perryville, Conway, Searcy, Clinton, Heber Springs. And our main concern or threat today is going to be some strong wind gusts and some hail. I'm going to try to walk you through what we have. Information is coming in, at least the latest afternoon update is beginning to come down. So that's the watch, and that watch is in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. Then we'll keep an eye on tomorrow. Tomorrow there could be a bit of a stronger, or I should say a better storm risk across the state, especially northeast Arkansas. So let's hop to it. Here we go. Let's go on a little radar tour. First of all, there are your watches, and here's what's happening on radar. And we have had some storms that have developed. And listen, we've got a lot of heat, a lot of instability out there. The Cape is really, really high. Storm fuel is high. What may be missing, turning winds or wind shear, but we've still got enough wind for the development of some pretty strong updrafts that could lead to some large hail. So you've got storms in northeast Arkansas. The ones that are moving through Stone and Izard County were much more formidable in Polk County and Johnson County. There were severe thunderstorm warnings for those folks. Now the next batch is beginning to come together over in western Arkansas near Logan County. So there's the area from Mountain View to Melbourne, southward to around Heber Springs. They're on the southern tip of that. Looks like a little outflow boundary moving through south of Clinton. And the next wave is coming together that's over Logan, Scott, and Polk counties. Again, with a low wind risk, the main concern this afternoon is going to be some damaging wind gusts and some large hail, 1-inch hail or larger. The tornado threat is there. It's very low. It's about a 2% likelihood, but it's still there. Now, here's what we can expect, and this is going to update a bit. Saturday now has a chance of strong to severe thunderstorms, primarily late in the day. So here are the impacts. What's the impact? Severe risk through the weekend. Weekend does have an extra E between the K and the N. So that is my fault. I will fix that before we hit the air tonight at 5 o'clock. You know, when you scurry around to try to get as much information as possible out to you, sometimes mistakes happen. Unfortunately, they seem to always happen to me. The risk of severe Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We've got the severe risk going on now here Thursday, Friday afternoon, and Friday night, and then again Saturday night. Those are the top 3 days right now. There is going to be another chance of severe weather early next week. Storms could produce some large hail and damaging wind gusts. Those are the primary hazards with these thunderstorms. And of course, those storm chances will extend through the weekend into early next week. So this is what our 3-day outlook looks like. Thursday, well, we were upped. We went from a marginal threat to a slight risk. Not surprised. Not surprised tomorrow that northeast Arkansas has an enhanced risk. And if you look closely, there's a little area of red in southern Missouri and Kentucky and northern Tennessee. That is a moderate threat. So there's a little bit of a greater tornado threat the further north you travel. In central Arkansas and southwest Arkansas, it's still a wind threat and a hail threat, but we still have to keep an eye on the possibility of a brief tornado. And then Saturday, another complex is going to come in, and that timing right now, the graph is indicating late in the day Saturday. Now, you can come back to me for a second, Michael. The model projections are just projections. The HRRR and the graph are good tools when they're working side by side and they line up nicely and they come to an agreement. But there's a little disagreement between the two, but they tend to come into line, and they're both indicating that we're going to have some storms in Arkansas on Friday and Saturday. The graph takes us into Saturday, and that cluster moving in late in the day on Saturday. So from there, here's what the current surface situation looks like. I mentioned last night, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Nathan also mentioned we'd have a weak front in the state, and we do have a weak frontal boundary, and it's out ahead of that front that we are looking at storms developing, and 1 or 2 could be strong to severe. There's a little low pressure impulse along that front. That's going to move on by, and then another impulse will come by tomorrow, and that's going to be a little stronger. That's going to help push that front a little farther to the east and to the south. So we get a little bit of a break Saturday morning, but the next complex coming together Saturday afternoon. Here's what it looks like statewide, and I'll take you a little closer to the action. This is, again, the surface map here in Arkansas. It's out ahead of that frontal boundary in western Arkansas. I know there are softball and baseball matchups going on in Northwest Arkansas. Tyler Cass was in here just a few minutes ago. I ought to bring him back in, put a microphone on it. We could talk some baseball. Right now, I thought tomorrow looked to be a worse day for baseball, but right now it's lining up pretty good. That Northwest Arkansas, they get through these rounds of storms, and everything kind of focuses on central, eastern, and northeastern Arkansas. I have to wait and see. The ingredients are there, the parameters are there for severe weather if it develops, but the atmosphere also has a bit of a cap or a lid, and that helps to inhibit severe thunderstorm development. So it's a wait and see kind of thing. But this is what we do know. We got enough parameters for the severe weather risk the rest of the day today. That area in yellow was added earlier today. That includes Hot Springs and Little Rock, Searcy, Batesville, and Jonesboro. A marginal risk on either side of that, but we have seen severe thunderstorm warnings for Johnson and Pope counties. They're on the outside of that. Well, I should say Johnson County is, but Pope County's in the slight risk category. So sometimes severe thunderstorms happen in and around those risk areas. And to break it down even further, we talk about what we can expect, the hazards, and of course wind and hail are the greatest concerns. Quarter-sized hail today, or up to quarter-sized hail, 1-inch hail, and winds of 60+ miles per hour. So those are our greatest threats, and about a 2% likelihood of a brief tornado in that gray area. So we can't totally rule it out. But the Weather Service says the threat of severe weather in terms of wind and hail is greater, so that's why they put out the severe thunderstorm watch. The impacts look like this: damaging wind, quarter-sized hail, tornado, and flooding threat with today's weather looks to be the lowest. Now, it's going to go up a notch tomorrow. And again, I'm not surprised. I mentioned this last night, probably going to see a part of northeast Arkansas with an enhanced risk. But just to the north of that, there's a little sliver of extreme northeast Arkansas that's been added to the moderate threat of severe weather. More widespread severe weather, more of a tornado threat, more of a damaging wind threat. But towards central and southwest Arkansas, it's going to be wind and hail primarily, but we still have to watch out for the possibility of a brief tornado. The enhanced risk includes places like Searcy, Clinton. I would go ahead and include you, Heber Springs, Batesville, Marshall, Leslie, up to Harrison and over to Mountain Home. Enhanced risk here. Not really in the Little Rock metro. It's just on the verge of the metro. But tomorrow morning, if this enhanced risk drops a little farther to the south, then Tracy Bean will place us under a weather impact alert. That's one of our criteria, enhanced risk of severe weather. And tomorrow night, graduation ceremonies. There's graduation ceremonies Saturday morning. Let's hope the weather has settled down by then. I'll walk you through the timing. I'll use the graph and the HER in just a moment, and we'll compare notes on those. Here's the severe weather outlook. Anytime you see a hatched mark on any of these outlooks, it means there's a greater chance of seeing severe weather within a point, within 25 miles of a point. And if that, like for hail, quarter-sized or greater, National Weather Service is indicating up to baseball-sized hail could fall anywhere within this hatched area. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of CAPE or a lot of storm fuel tomorrow. How about the wind threat, 60+ or greater? I mentioned that moderate risk of severe weather and enhanced. That's where you're going to find the strongest winds. Although Little Rock, Arkadelphia, Monticello, El Dorado, we could still have severe thunderstorm wind gusts of 60+. The tornado threat, it is there. It's about a 2% likelihood the farther south and west you go, but you get toward, say, Little Rock to Batesville, and it's a little more prominent. And it's even more so in northeast Arkansas, those northeastern Arkansas rows of counties, that top row of counties. So there's going to be a little bit more of a tornado threat tomorrow with this next wave of severe weather, or at least next wave of thunderstorm activity. And if that's not all, there's even more coming up on Saturday. I'll show you in just a moment. So the impacts for Friday, May 16th, large hail in the medium category, and I may have to bump the wind up. I'll look at the forecast information that's coming in. May bump this up tonight to medium, and tornado I'll keep down in the low category. It's conditional, and flash flooding. These storms are going to produce a lot of rainfall in a very short amount of time. Now the severe weather impacts on Saturday. This was a new addition from the National Weather Service earlier this morning, or from the Storms Prediction Center, I should say. And the risk of severe weather has broadened out a bit. Actually, this map has been updated to include all of central, southeast, and western Arkansas. I apologize. I'm going to take a little bit of a sip of something to drink. Got a little tickle in the back of the throat there. Some of that Sonic tea is good stuff. A little cup of coffee as well. Again, our main concern and focus is going to be that of a damaging wind and hail threat right now. That's the way things look on Saturday. And that's covering up a larger chunk of real estate that it was showing earlier. So that's another thing. Nathan Scott's going to be along here on Saturday. I'll be in Sunday as we track those storms. Let's talk about storm fuel. Folks, we got plenty of it. Storm fuel, or CAPE, Convective Available Potential Energy. And there's a lot of it. This is this afternoon at 3 o'clock. As we go through time, we hold on to all of that atmospheric juice, all of the energy, until we possibly hit, let's say, late Friday night, early Saturday. We begin to see it wane on down a bit. But then by Saturday afternoon, more storm fuel builds in. We could get some sunshine with highs in the upper 80s to near 90. That's a recipe for quite a bit of CAPE, or storm fuel. In terms of the lightning detection, storms that do develop could have quite a bit of lightning. We may have a brief period, let me go back a little, brief period after dark where the storms die out, that we head toward Friday and storms begin to develop. A couple of pockets, one early in the morning, and then another chance of strong to severe storms in the early afternoon, lining up along the frontal boundary, and that front will slowly move to the southeast. It's expected to make it all the way through the state. Storms will be scattered in nature. We're not expecting widespread storm coverage. They will be scattered in nature all the way through Saturday. So we'll have a risk of thunderstorms through that time period. And again, Saturday afternoon and evening, we'll have another round of storms that will come into western and southwestern Arkansas. So that's what it looks like when we talk about future lightning. Next graphic we have is the hail risk. And in that purple area, that Barney purple area, if the storms develop like they could or can, and they produce hail, the maximum hail size could be 2 inches plus in diameter or larger. Notice how much real estate that's covering in Arkansas. That is a lot of the state that could pick up some big hail if those storms come together. Thursday night, 10 o'clock, we keep that hail threat. And then again, we're going to see it come back once again sometime Friday into Friday afternoon. You got that splotch of darker red there in northwest Arkansas. That is around noon, 1 o'clock. So the storm threat in northwest Arkansas Friday is going to be in the middle part of the day, and we'll see it begin to spread out toward the afternoon and evening hours. It's going to work with the daytime heating, temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90, and just enough wind shear, just enough wind to give us these strong updrafts and possibly a tornado. And the greatest concern of tornadoes will be over the northeastern quadrant of the state, but we can't rule it out here. But lots of juice there, lots of parameter for large hail in the state. We'll see it wind on down heading into Saturday, and by Saturday afternoon, with the next wave coming through, we could see more wind and hail. Now our models. And again, as I said this a moment ago, these are just projections. We're looking out into the future. They handle severe weather episodes good sometimes. So just take this and with a grain of salt, because it's probably going to change. And it just depends on the speed of the system and what's available for them to work with. Let's say we have a complex of storms tonight into early tomorrow. That's going to take away some of the energy for tomorrow afternoon's storms. That's good and bad in a way, because you have to worry about severe weather overnight, but that may take away some of that potential energy for strong storms tomorrow afternoon. Here's our future radar. This is the HRRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model. And this afternoon, it's doing a pretty good job. It's indicating a couple of pockets of storms in northeast and north central Arkansas. Frontal boundary in northwest Arkansas, so we'll see showers line up along the front. Tonight, 8:39, 10 o'clock, there could be another area that develops over eastern and southeastern Arkansas, just about news time. A couple of those could be strong to severe. And I do want to point one thing out, if you can, Mike, on this particular graphic, that thin band of green would be indicative of how far to the east front number 1 makes it. So everything on the western side of that should be settling down. But the front is expected to stall out and may even lift back to the north a little before getting kicked back to the south on Saturday. And this takes us through Friday morning. We'll get a little sunshine, a little daytime heating, more instability Friday afternoon and evening. And I'm going to stop it here at 6 o'clock Friday. There are graduation ceremonies here tomorrow night. Some of them might be outdoors. And if the HRRR is correct in its assessment, then central Arkansas could be impacted with thunderstorms at the time some of these graduation ceremonies are taking place. I do hope that school officials will reach out and take a look at what we're expecting, projecting. Tomorrow morning, Tracy Bean will have more on the timing of these storms, but they're going all over the place, shifting back and forth. Let me take you a little further into the nighttime hours. It becomes more of a line lining up along that front Friday night from near Jonesboro and south of Jonesboro. And these cells could be supercells. They could be those individual cells that are capable of producing some large hail as well as wind or a brief tornado. So we got to keep an eye on that. Lining up through central Arkansas. This is by tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Scattered in nature. That line continues to the southeast, and as we hit the late night hours, it may fall apart just a bit. And by Saturday morning, there shouldn't be much left of it when you wake up with Nathan Scott. He's working Saturday this week. But Saturday afternoon and evening, we'll keep an eye on the next round. That's the way the HRRR looks. The graph, let's compare notes. Whoops, let's stop there for just a moment. So yeah, it's picking up that front northwest Arkansas. A couple of storms here and there, maybe not as well as the HRRR did. But let's take a look at Friday afternoon. We're heading through the day Friday. We'll get a little sunshine. There's that line that develops in northwest Arkansas Friday morning into the early afternoon hours. That's the second boundary and area of low pressure moving through. That's the one that could produce the stronger storms in northeast Arkansas. But as we head through the evening hours, that line looks like, according to the graph, would develop a little farther to the west, moving into central Arkansas about 8 or 9 o'clock, and the western part of that line falling apart just a bit. The atmosphere is going to have a cap. If the cap erodes and breaks, then yeah, storms are going to be a little bit more possible tomorrow. Then Saturday afternoon and evening, here comes that next wave of thunderstorms in time for the 10 o'clock news. And Nathan Scott moving across the state into early in the morning on Sunday. So that's the timing. Which one's going to be right? Both of them could be right in a way, and they both could also not be correct. All right. We're going to be streaming once again tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. You can watch us on THV 11 Plus. Maybe you're watching from your phone. If you have a TV at home that has Amazon, Roku, Fire, you can download the THV 11 Plus app. Or if you have a Samsung TV and it's pretty new, like brand new, and it's a smart Samsung TV, you can download the app for free there as well. It's a free download for your TV, so you can watch me on your TV screen and pick up much more than watching on your phone screen. We're on THV 11 Plus. It is currently 2:47. Let me go back and recap up at the top and give you another radar tour. In fact, and my computer died over here, so I'll have to work off of Max 1, Mike. Sorry about that. I do want to mention, once again, that a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 7 o'clock tonight, and it encompasses north, central, and northeast Arkansas. It does not include Little Rock, but it does include Conway. It does include Perryville. It includes Searcy and Morrilton and Russellville. This area, 7 o'clock tonight, Weather Service may see the need for an extension south or even maybe to the west. And this is what radar looks like right now. We've got another pocket of storms that will be close to the Little Rock metro area within the next hour, hour and a half or so. Those storms right now are near Johnson County and moving into Pope County. Moving into Johnson County, Western Yell, Pope, Logan counties. These storms are not severe, not yet. Weather Service may put a warning out for some quarter-sized hail or some damaging wind gusts. We will certainly keep an eye on it here at THV 11. Again, Nathan is off today, but he will be back with us on Saturday to cover the severe threat then. I'll be back on Sunday to cover any severe weather threat that might occur then. But we'll keep an eye on these storms. They're going to run into some much more suitable atmospheric environment with a little bit more in the way of some energy to work with as we get closer to news time at 5 o'clock. Current time now is right at 2:49, 2:50. Thank you for joining me this afternoon on THV 11 Plus. And again, we will have the latest for you tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. We'll do this once again. We might have more storms. And of course, as we get closer to Friday, we'll have a better timing gauge on, for your events and activities that are happening Friday night and even into the day Saturday. There'll be some more graduation ceremonies and any sporting events. Razorbacks playing baseball and softball. I'll have the latest on that if you plan on going up to the Hill and watching either the ladies or the men as they play a little ball later on tonight. Thank you for joining us once again. That's our 1 hour radar loop. I'm meteorologist Tom Brannon. We'll see you at 5, 6, 6:30, and 10 o'clock tonight for the latest news and weather information. Until that time, have a great rest of your afternoon. Yeah, I was beginning to suffer from sinus stuff.